Welcome to Toni Unleashed, the podcast, where I unleash the truth about all things pets. My research and anecdotal evidence, paired with expert interviews, will help your pet thrive. I'm here to answer questions, share insights, and spread awareness about what's really going on in the world of pets. I'm Toni Shelaske with 25 years of experience in the pet space. Welcome to the show. Hello, and welcome to Toni Unleashed. And I am thrilled to have a friend of mine here, Daron Matsuura. He is the owner of Lotus Pet Foods. Thanks for joining me, Daron.
Thanks for having me, Toni.
Daron and I have known each other quite a few years. I'd say maybe at least 10.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I've carried your food for at least 10 years and have even been to your plant in California, and I hand-packed cans when we hand-packed cans and had a nice tour and got to meet everybody. Two of my managers came with you. You footed the bill for everything. So it was awesome to see. It's always awesome to see the behind the scenes of how pet food is really made. So thank you.
We love to have people come and see what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard
my friend Luke from Luke & Co. in Denver, he's coming.
He is.
Yeah.
He asked me, do we still do tours? And I said, sure.
Yeah. Luke's a great guy. So we're on the Indie Pet board together. But so this whole bird flu, H5N1, came onto your radar, and what did you do? What was your first thought? Were you terrified? Were you like, this is blown out of proportion?
I was definitely watching it, especially when I started to hear of cats passing away. I know the way we make our food with the ingredients that we use, there is a level of safety. So, for example, all of our meats, our poultry, our fish, it's all human grade. And in particular with poultry, they have this program they have in place with the USDA where they have to test the whole flock. If a bird is sick, unfortunately, you have to cull the whole flock. So I know just by being USDA inspected, there is this level of safety. So initially, I felt that added a level of comfort for us and for the consumer. But as it progressed, and some of these other raw food companies had to recall because of cats passing away, and at least what these companies were saying, I'm not saying anything good or bad about these companies, but I don't know exactly what meats they use.
Mm-hmm.
They all do say they use human grade meats. So if that is the case, it did concern me because we're doing that, and then they're still experiencing, I'll call them incidences with the bird flu or the H5N1.
Yeah.
Passing on the cats. So that made me very concerned as those events transpired. So we do a lot of other things, and I know some companies don't do this. So on top of the human grade aspect, the sourcing of the meats, we do HPP, so which is high pressure pasteurization for anybody that doesn't know.
Yep.
And we've always done that because we felt that added a lot of food safety to what we do.
Sure.
We use a validated HPP process, which means we invested in, I'll call them a food safety company to validate our process. So our process was designed to kill E. coli, salmonella, listeria on our worst case scenario recipe. So if I remember correctly, it was the turkey recipe was the hardest to kill those microbes, those pathogenic microbes. Um, so we actually had to go up in the minutes that we HPP. So we do a 5-minute process.
Uh-huh.
Many companies do 3, but we knew just based on that validation study, we needed a 5-minute process for that. Pretty
And
much the pressure with all HPP is the same, but we took that extra step. So we had that in place. In addition, I know our sanitation is very strong. We have a very, very rigid sanitation program, and it's a lot of scrubbing with brushes and washing down with hot water. But the sanitize or they use a sanitizer slash soap that cleans all debris off, gets grease off, or any fats on there, but also kills bacteria. But in addition to that, after that scrubbing and cleaning with that sanitizing soap, we use another sanitizer on all equipment to make sure that we kill any trace of any pathogenic microbes. In addition to that, I know you want to ask, probably I want to ask a question. I just want to add one last thing. In addition to that, we don't just rely on that sanitation program. We do use ATP tests.
uh-huh.
And so ATP is the energy for all living cells, even dead cells. There is traces of ATP. So that will detect any dead cells, any living cells, including bacteria, pathogenic bacteria. So we swab for ATP. We have ATP swabs. We do that on an equipment, and we validate our sanitation process. So those were the things that we have been doing up until this point of a bit of a very concerning, I don't want to call it an explosion, but definitely a lot of media
Yeah.
attention was brought to.
So you already had all those sanitary and safety steps in place even before this whole bird flu blew up. And so,
Correct.
wow.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And then have you done anything in addition to that?
So what?
I mean, I don't know what else there could possibly be, but
So what we started to do or started to research was, okay, we're HPPing. We tried to find some validation studies that would show, does HPP inactivate the H5N1 virus?
okay.
However, it was very inconclusive, and there is no validation study for that currently.
Hmm.
Um, so that kind of led to a roadblock. And as some of these cats passed away, I was interested to see what these companies were saying about um, their food safety, why the food was safe. Um, we wrote a letter that was similar to that, but it was all based on using human grade meat and the poultry being part of the National Poultry Improvement Plan, which we talked about earlier, where they test the flock and
Mm-hmm.
they cull the flock if necessary. Um, but that is not 100%, as you can imagine. There's millions of chickens, millions of turkeys, and I, in my mind, I was thinking there's just no way you could be 100% and stop the virus that way. There's got to be some birds that get through the food
Yeah.
chain. Um, with human food, it's okay because I don't think anyone eats raw chicken. They cook it to 165 degrees, which deactivates the virus. But in raw food, it's a totally different story. And if we don't have a validation study for HPP, that leaves something to be desired as well. So myself and our team here, I was really pushing for uh, testing on our way to test for uh, H5N1 in
Mm-hmm.
particular. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we're already testing for Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria, as I mentioned earlier, um, and we don't ship until all of those microbes have tested. Our food has tested negative for those microbes. So I wanted something similar for H5N1. But we ran into a lot of roadblocks with that.
Really?
So I'll explain this a little bit. Um, so bacteria is there's a lot of labs that test for bacteria. They're they're dangerous, but I'm not trying to make light of Salmonella or E. coli or Listeria, but they're not on the level of a virus. Um, so pretty much all labs that handle bacteria or pathogenic bacteria do not handle viruses. And there's,
I see.
I found out there's a good reason for this. If you think of Ebola, there's a good chance if you get infected with Ebola, you will die. The person will die. Um, so the labs that handle viruses, they have to wear the full suit,
Sure.
the respirator. Um, I mean, you can imagine what
So
this
they don't want to
entails.
bring bacteria into that and add that into the mix too. Is that what I'm getting?
It's mainly for the safety of the lab workers,
Sure.
because that those viruses once so to jump forward, a lab that tests for viruses, they have to be at least they call it a BSL level. It's biosafety um, level um, laboratory, and it has to be at least a level 3,
Interesting.
if not a 4.
Yeah.
So we, through a lot of just keeping at it, we were able to find a lab that was willing to test our food, and they're a BSL-4 lab, uh, and that was really good news. And I'm very happy to say that um, we were able to implement that into our food safety program. Um,
So, Darren, do you think that you will always test for H5N1 now going forward in your raw food?
for the time being, and the reason why I say for the time being, I did watch a webinar this week, and it was talking. The subject was about HPP and its ability to inactivate H5N1. Um, the She's a professor. I forget which university she's teaching at, but she did say she was hopeful that it does deactivate the virus. But she did say there is no validation study. There's no literature that proves that. So um, if someone does do that study,
Mhm.
it would have to be done at a lab, that BSL
Yeah.
3 or 4 lab, which adds some complexity to that. Um, I don't know. Maybe we do it. Maybe some other company does it. But at that point, if you are HPPing and it's been validated, you wouldn't have to keep testing. Um,
I,
Theoretically.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But so I'll say this: I'm undecided
Okay.
because our HPP, our validated HPP, theoretically, or has been validated to kill Listeria, E. coli, Salmonella. But just to be sure, even after that process, we send it to a lab
Hmm.
and we test for all of that,
Yeah,
even though that we have a validated study.
yeah, yeah. So, and you're testing every batch and you don't release the batch until you get those reports back, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
you are really checking every box to make sure that your raw food that you're producing is safe.
And that is the key. I've never wanted to take chances.
Hmm.
And well, you've seen many raw companies
Yeah,
almost, if not go away, almost go away,
yeah,
just because um, they didn't want to have a kill step uh,
yeah,
for whatever reason. Uh, you know,
yeah.
but I always felt strongly that it's not worth the risk. Um, it's better to have something that
Layla likes to make an appearance
I see that. I
on
see
every
that.
podcast. Yes, she likes to steal the show. So
So it's our philosophy. I know
yeah,
there's different philosophies. I just felt the safety philosophy, the food safety philosophy
yeah,
is a Lotus philosophy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
And you're controlling everything from beginning to end.
we
So,
are.
right? Because you're making it, you're ordering the ingredients, you're checking them when they come in. I mean, when I was in your plant, you talk about human ingredients. I mean, they were labeled for the grocery store. I mean, everything that I saw was labeled for the grocery store. So, yeah, it's the real deal. And being a raw feeder for so long, I Layla, uh,
What is she doing?
well, so my studio is attached to a bedroom and
Uh,
she, nests like crazy and I have this awesome quilt that
oh,
she
yeah.
is digging in and she grabs it and pushes it with her mouth and does what they do.
I do.
And I love this quilt, and she's already pulled one like piece of yarn out, and that's what she's doing. So,
I was asking my wife the other day because all of our dogs do that. It's like they're. It looks like they're digging a hole,
yeah,
but there's no. And it's like to your point, it's either a blanket or a quilt.
yes,
But I was having a hard time under. I was like, I asked my wife, why do they do that? She's like, oh, it's just so they get comfortable. I was like, but they're not really doing anything except destroying the
okay.
blanket.
But I'm gonna tie this back to raw food
Okay.
because that is an instinct. So, yes, their dens,
Yes.
they would dig dens.
Yes. Yes.
So that is their simulation in a human world because they're not living outside anymore.
Yes.
They're dead. And
It
she's
makes
still
sense.
doing it. Please. This will be
It
great.
makes sense. It
This
makes
will be a
sense.
great post. Layla. So, just like why should we feed raw food, or at least some? If you feed kibble,
Yeah,
great, no criticism whatsoever, but that is still a processed food. They still should eat some raw food. If you can do all raw food, great, but it is part of their instinct and
it
biological
is.
diet that that's what they would naturally eat.
No, we, as a company, we're big believers in that. And I've had so much good feedback from customers about how their cats are flourishing uh,
Yeah,
on our food.
yeah.
And that's always amazing to hear. And
It's
uh, just as a side note, I know it's worked really well because it's a boneless recipe. The and the phosphorus is low. It's worked really, really well for cats with any urinary or kidney type issues, or even just prevention. So
yeah.
that that I think is a big component of raw.
Well, and it's the same for your canned food, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, very, very low
Because
phosphorus,
it's
no bone in
boneless, the
there.
phosphorus is low.
Yeah,
So
and
even
high moisture.
and high moisture, and they need moisture, moisture, moisture.
They
Cats
do,
are obligate carnivores
and desert animals.
and desert animals.
If anybody didn't know that.
Right, right.
But going back to the sourcing, that's a very good topic. And I was, let's see, it's been, I think, about a month since, but I went to New Zealand just to see
Oh,
our supplier
uh-huh.
that supplies the venison and the lamb for our canned and our raw. And it was a really great experience to see um, all the deer. They're all out on pasture. Um, the lambs are everywhere in New Zealand. It's everywhere, um, and cattle for that matter. But it was a great experience to see how they are raised on pasture.
Huh.
They're not. There's no feedlots. Uh, they're all well taken care of. Um, so that was a great experience to see and actually see where the meat uh, kind of starts.
And the feedlots, I mean, those are not natural environments for our animals.
They're
So,
not.
and they're high in bacteria, and that's a lot of the reason where the viruses start.
Yeah, and I know cattle and feedlots are just because of the cleanliness of a feedlot. The
Yeah,
E. coli is rampant.
yeah. So, you watch the news and it's all over the news, and they are saying it's happening even in backyard flocks and that sort of thing. Do you really, because you know me, my brain is like, we all should have backyard chickens. We all should have a little vegetable garden. We need less of this factory farmed food, including vegetables and fruits. Like we really need to all do go back 100 years and do a little bit of ourselves so we don't have to rely on the factory farmed as much and get some healthier animals. But is it true? Do we know? Is it true? Is it really happening in smaller operations that are really pasturing their animals?
Um, Meaning the meat suppliers, where
Correct.
they're
Or is the media really like, is it valid information? We don't know, do we?
no, but so going to New Zealand, I will say I felt a level of comfort
Yeah.
just the way they are raised, and the the nice part about New Zealand is by law they have the animals have to be treated a certain way.
Hmm.
They're very, very strict about that. One part that I really liked in terms of food safety. They're very serious about H5N1. So um, the last I read was that New Zealand is still free from the H5N1.
Really?
That I think they've had one case of there's another variant which is H7N1, I believe.
Oh,
Um,
geez.
but it was one case, um, and that was eradicated. Um, and I not only did I go to see just the pastures where the sheep are, where the deer are, but uh, I went to their facilities, the processing facilities, and I got to see the care they take in that process as well, and it really did look to me like a very well run, clean operation, very humane
Yeah.
operation,
Yeah.
and that's essentially what they're touting, but it looked to be in practice. Um, so that from that perspective, I was very comfortable. But I your point about going back where people are raising food is a very good point. Um, it's just a lot of people don't do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Now, you feed your own food, right?
I do.
So
We
you're
do.
still feeding raw food.
Yes.
You're still feeding poultry.
Yes.
Same for me. I'm still feeding
Okay.
raw food. I'm still feeding poultry. Layla had turkey this morning. Um, so I think the fact that you as a manufacturer can get on here and say, I'm still feeding raw food, is pretty profound.
And but I also wanted, in addition to that, I
Mhm.
wanted to be able to prove to everybody that
Yeah.
it's safe, and that's why I really, really, really wanted to have for us the ability for us to say, no, we've tested every single batch, and it's all negative.
I love it. I love it. Now, are you changing the labeling or was that just for when I saw you at the trade show?
We did not change the labeling,
Because
but
that's the whole
we
thing, right?
yeah. So what we have done is for the freezers, created freezer clings to
Gotcha.
call that out, um, and get that message out there. Um, I mean, a lot of it like yesterday, I decided to call for people I didn't see at Global. I started calling a lot of independent pet retailers and just telling them on the phone or on email, this is what we're doing. Um, you know, this is why, or this is a good way to make your customers feel comfortable as well. Um,
So, did we cover everything you feel like the average consumer should know about Lotus Pet Food regarding H5N1 and your raw food?
I think we did.
Okay.
I, yeah.
Okay.
And I think the most important piece is, I'll just reiterate it, is the testing at the end. We don't release it for sale until it's been tested not only just for microbes, but the H5N1 virus. And
Fantastic. And I think it's important that people know how long you've been doing this. How long have you owned Lotus Pet Food and been manufacturing your own food?
so it's been since 2003. So what is that? 20?
22 years on? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
22
it's a
years.
long time.
That is a long time. That is a very long time.
And it's still fun.
I'm so right. We'll
Yes,
always be in the pet industry,
yes,
no matter
for
what it is.
sure. Yeah.
I
No, it's
love that
so
you still love it.
I do. I do. It's very exciting. I'm digressing a little bit, but I was in New York City uh, last month, but just visiting retailers, and I'll tell a quick story about raw. Um, so I was in the store doing a little training for this store manager and one of her team members, and um, there was a gentleman in there, and he just adopted this new cat that was strictly raw fed
Hmm,
from the breeder.
awesome.
That part was cool, but the manager, she wasn't quite, well, she wasn't educated by me for sure, and she she was just of this mindset. She was a little bit scared, so she actually told this customer, he's like, well, I want to continue feeding raw, and then she said, well, I wouldn't do that right now. I
Mm,
was kind of clenching my teeth.
I get
It's
it.
like holding my thoughts inward. So here's the neat story, I think. So this customer, she told me later on, he likes to come in and just chit chat. So he kind of just stayed while I started this training. So I did all this training with her, and she said, "Why don't you go talk to him?" So I was able to talk to him and tell him things like all the testing we're doing. And if he feels really concerned about poultry, we have the venison, we have the lamb that's from New Zealand. There is no H5N1. He was he liked the containers. I showed him the small containers, like it's like a little can of raw, a
Hmm.
single serving. Um, he asked about defrosting. I said, yeah, you can stick the big one in the refrigerator and just let it to thaw out. It will last for 4 days, and you just scoop out as you need it. Um, so I it went from him maybe not even feeding raw again to he was like, oh, I'm gonna do this now.
Success.
Yes. And the store was the manager was very happy. She learned a little bit of
Yep.
information. It was just, so I love doing that kind of stuff. I love talking to customers. I love
Same.
talking to people in the store. And it's very rewarding. I could tell this one customer, he was very happy, and that's at the end of the day. Um, I love doing that.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of enjoyment in that.
There really is. And it's impacting not one life, but more than one life because you're allowing that human to have a healthier pet so that, he gets reward from that too, and that cat might live 30 years.
Yeah, and it was already being raw fed.
Yes, which is fantastic. We
Yes,
love
yes.
we get so excited when that happens with a
I
plant.
know, because it's usually conversion from kibble to raw.
I know.
Yes.
It's like wild.
Yeah,
So that's definitely a win. I love it.
yeah,
I love
yes.
it.
So yeah,
So everyone should know as well that your hold on, Layla. Your website is lotuspetfoods.com.
correct.
Okay. So you also make dog kibble,
We do,
cat kibble,
we do.
and it is baked.
It is baked. So there's
In
a big,
California,
big difference there.
there is a big difference there. So it is baked at a lower temperature than most kibble. Kibble goes through an extrusion process, right?
Correct, which is at least 220, 250,
And yours is, yeah,
165, enough to kill the pathogens. But
yeah.
here's the big thing. I know we're going on to the big part, but I don't think you mind, right?
Uh-uh.
Um,
Layla minds,
oh,
but I
um, baked is also cooked at atmospheric pressure and extrusion. A lot of people don't know this. It's 3 times atmospheric pressure. So it's a pressurized vessel that it's cooking in. And one of the big downfalls of extrusion is it releases all these starches. So when you feed it extruded kibble, your dog or cat is getting 100% of the starch that's in there, which of course turns to sugar. which feeds things like yeast on the skin, the ears, the eyes, you know,
Creates
to
inflammation in the body.
inflammation, which is uh, not great for cancer.
Right.
And, potentially insulin insensitivity,
Hmm.
so which
Hmm.
could lead to diabetes. So a baked has a lot of benefits. Because it's less processed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it crumbles. It breaks down a lot easier for dogs, especially too, right?
It
And,
does because it's not pressurized. So when they pressurize that vessel or that, it's like a pipe and it squeezes out of that extruder. It's you can see if you can break open an extruded kibble, it almost looks crystallized in the inside.
yeah.
So you can see it's more processed. It's the way they make kids cereal, like Captain Crunch. You
Hmm.
know, I
Hmm.
mean, you. We were talking about people should grow their own food and raise their own chickens. Like kids cereal is like the antithesis of that, right?
Yep.
High sugar, highly processed, lots of flavor put it onto it that's not natural.
And we wonder why we have ADHD and anxiety and disorders in not only our human children but also our dogs. And
Yeah,
so,
and that's the other thing because they use this extrusion process. And I love to teach retailers about this. If you look at all these extruded kibbles, you'll see this ingredient called natural flavor.
hmm.
What is that? Okay, it's natural, right?
Mm.
No, it's not. You are shaking.
It's
you
not.
know. So it's just another process ingredient. And if you did look, I do like to compare it to like the General Mills of the world that make all these cereals. Because if you look at these cereals, whether it's crunch berries, there's no real berries in there, but a lot of these cereals will have natural flavor. But they need to do that because the kids or maybe even adults won't eat them, right?
Right. Right. So there's a 60 Minutes episode. If you Google or put in YouTube or whatever, 60 Minutes natural flavoring, it will bring up a 15-minute segment that is eye-opening and disgusting.
I'll have to
The
look at
lab
that.
technician literally admits that they formulate natural flavoring to be addictive. She literally says it on camera, unless they've pulled the episode. But this episode is old. It's probably 7 or 8 years old.
Hmm.
She literally admits it.
Yeah, and it's addictive to not just people, but to dogs and cats as well.
Yep. 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 So yeah,
Yeah, it's and
crazy.
here's my belief. I think well, let's just say 90% sure companies will cut back on meat in a kibble and substitute it with natural flavor.
Oh, especially with the new regulation that they have to start listing carbohydrates, right?
Yeah,
Huh.
and um, are like fresh meat's expensive. It's the most
Yep.
expensive in a kibble. Um, like I've noticed. Well, my guess is just based on costs. There's a lot more rendered protein meal in the food than there is fresh meat. It boosts up the protein, so it may look good on the label. But the problem with rendered protein meals is um, it's it's not like you're taking a chicken thigh and drying it out. You're taking the chicken carcass, grinding it up, and then drying it out. So what that means is, and I'm not fundamentally against meals, but if you use too much because you're taking this carcass, the phosphorus levels get very high, which isn't great for. It's not great for cats. It's not great for dogs.
Well, and are the rendered, how clean are, let's see. She brought me a
I
toy.
see that.
How clean are these rendered meals? I
Well, they're
mean,
not human grade, so
right,
that's you got to question that part of that.
for sure.
And I'm not. So we do have some recipes that have meals in it. So I don't want to say we're meal free, but we also have recipes that don't have meals. And the main point I want to make is what we do is add a lot of meat into our oven baked kibbles, so it is palatable just because of the meat contents,
For
especially
sure.
with the baking. That meat cooks and the juices from that meat flavor the kibble. What I would call that's an actual natural flavoring is from the meat baking
Yeah,
with the kibble,
yeah, yeah.
not a sprayed on ingredient.
Right. And I think it's also important for consumers to know that just because it says meal does not mean that it's a rendered product or a byproduct, right?
Yeah,
So it's important to know that. A lot of people assume, or somewhere it got started, that if it's a meal, it's bad. So,
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that starts it.
oh, so much, so much. We could go on and on and on. But Layla, as you can see, is at the end of her patience level.
I see that. I see that.
So, thank you, Daron. That was a
No, thank
fantastic.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Fantastic episode, helping to educate the consumers, my listeners. I appreciate it very much. Um, our friendship over the years has been very important, and I'm very thankful for it.
Me
So,
too. I appreciate it.
thanks. So lotuspetfoods.com is the website, and I think it's the same for all social media. Just Lotus
Yeah,
Pet, just
yeah.
Lotus Pet Foods. Um, I highly recommend the food, and thank you for listening. Please rate 5 stars. Please share this episode with friends, family, and it will help to save a life. Bye for now.
Bye.